Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Fields and Friends podcast. We are back again with another exciting topic. Today, we are going to be talking about the future of agriculture in Cameroon. But before we get into that, we have to introduce everybody on set.
So I'm Butame Peter.
And
Joshua?
and we have a guest over there, Jude, Mr. Jude. So, Jude, please tell us about yourself. Just tell us a bit
Okay,
briefly.
thank you very much, Dylan.
Yeah.
I'm Esono Jude. I'm an agricultural entrepreneur leveraging on the agricultural aspects in Cameroon and Africa. Thank you.
Okay. So the topic for today, as I earlier said, was we're just trying to brainstorm how agriculture in Cameroon is going to look like in, let's say, 50 to maybe say 60 years, 60, 70 years.
Maybe not.
So that, we are already behind in the race for maybe AI, these modern technologies, and agriculture as a whole. Other countries are already very mechanized in their agricultural system. So what we'll be discussing here today is just some our own thoughts on what we think agriculture is going to look like in the next 50 to one, let's say 100. Maybe 100 is taking it too far. Let's say 50 years. So, what do you guys think? Because let me first start with you guys first before now I give my own opinion. Because I had a list of things. Let me see. I had a list of things I had to look at. I had shown Peter this earlier on. So the first thing was that to have a sustainable or to for agriculture in Cameroon to grow and become better, I made a list of first we need to have vocational training. That's training our youths, training personnel in good agricultural practices which are sustainable for the growth of the country. Also, I have here sustainability and environmental friendly agricultural practices. Good policy implementation, good policy and regulation implementations, upgrading the farm to market roads as the transport facilities and storage facilities, value chain addition. So those are just the topics or the points that I would like us to
Dylan, let me jump right
go
in.
through here.
I was telling you earlier that these your points are good. The first thing is that these are standard academic concepts. Right?
Yeah.
These are things that you hear every day in school. That's the first things. And then the second thing is that these suggestions that I'm making, those are olden day issues. When you are talking about agriculture now in 2024, a number of things should run through your mind.
Yeah.
Not that I'm cancelling the points that you give.
No, it's okay.
The very first thing that we should be looking at now is not just policy, you understand, and acting of policies. Because there are so many policies that are existing in Cameroon now. It's not about just policy. Good policy. Government has brought up good policies that have never been enacted, have never been followed up. Right? Now, I would like to talk more on this second point, which is on investment. Now, if you look at the agricultural landscape right now, you realize that a bulk of the investment that are geared towards agricultural ventures or enterprises are not from within. When I mean from within,
From
that's
Cameroon.
they are not. It's not Cameroonian backed,
Okay.
right? They are foreign backed, and you know that when the person who puts his money in something will determine how that thing is going to be shaped. Is going to determine the objectives of the thing, and you understand.
Yeah.
Yes, even though we know that there are government regulations, etc., but the very first person who has a say in whatever that thing is investors. And I also like to bring it down to, like, for example, I was telling you about the palm sector. That if you look at what's happening now in Cameroon for like I think the last 10 years or so,
Yeah.
Cameroon is importing palms, and it looks like the way things are going, the trend is going to continue. I think we're importing from Malaysia.
But the thing is, before I thought about this topic to talk about, I done some research, not more of statistically, but I just asked some
Questions.
key questions to people in the agriculture,
Yeah.
like my dad, some of my uncle's friends. But out of the 5 people I asked, only about 2 people gave me a response. With 2 of my classmates, they were like, agriculture is going to be mechanized, but before we get there, we have to do this, we have to do that. we have to first of all know that we have to start from smallholder schemes. Let small farmers be able to grow first before taking in now to more mechanized agriculture, where we can have cooperatives that can come together, and then now we will have that sole entrepreneurs that can build companies and that. He was just rambling about, but at the end he also said he cannot really give me a vivid picture of how it's going to look like, because he has not done the research of that's the research that is needed. That's what I was asking you before, that where, of course I've checked and I've not seen it. I don't know whether somebody can leave it in the comment section.
That's my point. That was the point. Ever since we spoke about the topic,
Yeah.
future of agriculture in Cameroon, that's what I've been considering. I've been considering that there's no clear future, there's no clear definition to where the future of agriculture in Cameroon is going to look like. Like, those who make policies.
They forgot about the vision 2035.
What
By the president.
How can you tell me about it?
I'm not really clear on what the president said about agriculture, but we know that in code Cameroon is going to emerge.
To what aspect? That's what I'm talking about.
The vision encompasses every aspect.
Now, we are in the agricultural sector, we are farmers, we've been treated for a number of years now. And if on a set like this, we cannot clearly define what is it we want to do with agriculture in the near future, or in
The question is, what do we even need?
No. Before we talk about what we need to talk about where we are going to. We don't know where we are going to. And if we don't know where we're going to, we can't determine how we're going to reach there. So what I'm trying to say is that with all the sectors inclusive, what do we want African or Cameroonian agriculture to look like in 2050 or 2060? Now, we want to say we want it mechanized, or to say it's an aspect.
Mechanization is very vague.
It's very vague.
It's very vague in its
No,
sense.
when you say mechanization, it means using tractors to harvest, using tractors to
Who told you
plant.
that?
For me, that's
That's our problem.
That's
Who told you that's our problem?
I'm not saying that that's our problem.
Okay,
But I'm just saying that that's
you are
what
saying that
mechanization looks
you are
like.
saying that agriculture will be mechanized, meaning that
I did not say that.
mechanization at this point is something that we have not achieved, that we are hoping to achieve. Now I'm asking that, who told you that was our problem?
I'm saying that now. Not that mechanization is our main problem. It is part of the problem.
No, for me, I think. Let me
yeah.
say something. I think if we define exactly where we want to go to, then mechanization is going to be like a way to reach there. Because mechanization
It's just a vehicle. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's just a vehicle.
So we don't have a definition. And I think it's our place as youth, because if you want to check those who are up there, the policymakers, they are out of the way, they're getting away already. So it is us who are the farmers today to sit down and think, how do we want this sector of our economy to look like? Because if you say you want to boost agricultural production, that too is just an aspect. What do you do with the output from that boosted agricultural production?
Yeah,
do we have industries
this now
who are
goes to-
able to...
That's what I talked about.
This
value
now
chain
goes to
addition.
where I was talking about that. I was giving an example on the palm sector. I was saying that we're importing palms
Yes.
right now. If you look, I'm sure if you plot it on the demand curve, there's inelastic demand for palm oil in the
palms,
market
yeah,
right now,
Yeah.
because soap, cosmetics, etc. People are using it, and no Cameroonian can tell me that in 1 week you don't eat a meal that requires red oil. I don't think so, or palm oil, something like that. So I think one of the objectives that I can say with respect to, let's say, the palm sector, for example, we need to start looking at ways that we can produce more palm oil to meet up with our domestic need. For me, Cameroon has enough resources, enough land, enough manpower to be exporting palms. Right now, so many people are talking about clean energy. So many people are talking about biofuels. So many are talking about phasing out fossil fuels. Biofuels, in the next few years, the price of biofuel is going to skyrocket because there will be very high demand. So Cameroonians should start investing.
Now, you see, so I think we can
in
start.
the sector.
If we are to come to a place where we should have a vision for agriculture. We should have it with respect to what's going on in the world around us.
That's what
Because you
I'm
cannot just plan for within. Now, but the first thing we have to achieve, even today, is to achieve self-sufficiency. Where you can come to a place where every sector of human livelihood with respect to agriculture is self-sufficient.
How we attain self-sufficiency when Cameroonians are not fueling they are not putting investment towards agriculture.
You know, you cannot invest.
How?
You cannot.
Because if you look, if I'm not mistaken, Soca Palm and the rest, PHP, most of them, they are backed by European capital, which means that what? They are achieving the goals of their investors, not the goals of Cameroon towards maybe self-sufficiency. Are you understanding my
That's
point?
it. So we can say we are producing banana, we are producing oil, but it's not for us.
You understand?
Where's that banana going to?
I
It's
think
going to
Gabon
those
is selling
economies.
that
So,
thing.
so
Yes.
it means you're saying based on self-sufficiency means you're saying that they should create policies where local products can be sold within Cameroon.
Beyond policy,
Beyond-
I've been talking about investment.
Yes.
It's investment that drives every.
Yeah, but it is
that-
vision that attracts investment.
Yes, vision
it-
attracts
um,
investment.
Short, not long after the independence, there was after the first year development plan, there was, I think, and after the second, there was what is called the structural adjustment policy that came from the World Economic Forum or something like that, to see into it that the government spending internally be reduced so that they can pay back the debt they've had, as a result of independence fighting and everything. It was a policy for highly indebted countries. Now that was where the problem of agriculture began in Cameroon, because after that, the Cameroon government began to reduce its investment in internal affairs, in agricultural development, in medicine, in education. It began to reduce all those investments and began to channel the money towards the payments of huge debts. Now, to pay those debts, so they had to stop this investment and they had to borrow more money to sustain that government. So we began to enter a kind of cycle of borrowing and payment, and there was no investment we were talking about that was done with respect to all the sectors of human livelihood in Cameroon.
Mr. Jude, what do you think?
Okay. It's a really tough argument.
Yeah, it's really because we cannot really say things that we go and I know that if you want to talk about this thing, what I envisaged in my mind was sitting on one panel with the board of directors, the main bodies of agriculture in Cameroon
Yeah,
to
tell us
discuss,
their
yes,
vision.
then tell us
Yeah,
what
tell
is
us
happening, where we are now, how are things moving, and all those stuff, small statistics here. But Mr. Jude, how do you think agriculture is going to go?
Okay, thank you very much, Dylan. Now, there is one thing I always say that is part of my success is that what if I don't have this hand? Can this one still function? And I'll tell myself, yes, I can still carry something with this one. What's the meaning of that? I've looked at a scenario where if I lost my dad, I can still survive. If I lost my mom, I can still survive. So I can still survive in the aspect of agriculture even when there are no facilities for me to survive. Now, looking at the aspect of how can Cameroon look like, how will Cameroon look like maybe in 2035, which is closer,
Yeah, which is closer.
we need to understand that first of all, people in the sector must accept who they are in order to achieve a common goal. Because if you don't accept who you are, you will not achieve anything. And secondly, I want to believe that I, for one, personally, I don't blame the government in Cameroon because I believe we still have a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
What am I saying? So currently, we have so many institutions in Cameroon that are training agricultural professionals. Currently in Cameroon, in Boya, we have one. There is a partnership with between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Vocational Training and Employment. And for this training, they are training some youths, I think 100 or more. And at the end of this training, they will give them, it was said, 1 million francs, if I'm not mistaken.
For their end of year project.
Yes, for the end of year project.
Yeah.
That is number one. We also have the CTE in Kumba that also perform this training. And it's
Yeah,
more of
SATA.
practical. Yes, SATA.
Yeah.
And
More
they even
of,
give scholarship for students.
more
to go
of
abroad
training.
from CDSTs.
We have another one in Eboloa. It's an international organization funding it, and they'll also give 1 million. This one is for 9 months. So I want to say that institutions are already in place. So I cannot blame the government, but we must understand as young entrepreneurs that if we must look at the vision, what can you do? Because let me tell you something. If you have 1 million francs today, and you don't have the mindset to nurture a business of 1 million francs, you will have the 1 million francs and waste it.
Yeah,
That's true.
You're not going to do anything with it.
So we should not. We are not blaming Cameroonians for the fact that we don't have the resources. We have more than enough resources in the aspect of what are we looking at maybe in 2035.
Yeah.
But if we don't have the mindset to nurture the resources, it's not possible. One of the clear examples that we use in Cameroon is that Cameroon is among the first 7 countries in the world that produces cocoa. For almost 10 years now, they are beating that record, like among the first 7.
I heard that the figures are climbing. Even.
And the figures are climbing. But now, if you look critically, do we have any major cocoa production like Cameroon-based, everything Cameroonians? We don't.
We don't have,
It's
and
difficult.
the thing with cocoa is that on the value chain, the farmers are the ones who suffer
Who suffer.
in the cocoa
Yes,
You
sector.
see, this cocoa thing here is a debate on this.
Yes.
And
sector
it's a
has a
shame.
lot of
It's a
problems.
shame
It's a
that
shame indeed.
it's a shame that just like Peter said, we don't have people that want to invest in the agricultural aspect. Because believe you me, if we are ready to invest in it and there are vibrant youths that can pull up ideas to make it stand, we'll make a lot of money in our country.
Yes.
But we have the challenges on investing in it.
When I just want to point out something. When I talk about investment, people think I'm talking about big corporate. It's me and you channeling your money. If you have to first of all believe in agriculture, right? And you know that
It's going to
instead of building city like the way Moliko is choked up now. If all these people that are building these buildings up and down, if they invested in agriculture, today we will not be talking about palm,
there's something
about
there's
palm oil
something
scarcity
people
in the
fail
market
to
or
understand
vegetable
with
oil
agriculture.
shortage.
The thing is, everybody has to eat at least 3 square meals a day every day. So there's nothing like I'll produce and I'll not sell. You just have to make your product to be up to standard.
Yes.
And
And then
and
you can also improve your bargaining power by
yes,
maybe clustering
Okay,
yourself.
guys.
that's
You
it.
guys are talking at the individual level,
Mhm.
but what I was trying to point out was more at the national level.
Okay.
To see into it that you can get a piece of, you can come to a Virgin Land, a very big place that can be a city, and everyone begin to build a mansion here, a mansion there, another mansion here. It's investing, right? A mansion, and come after 20 years, and the city looks like nothing because there was no proper planning that was done. Every individual succeeded in his investment, but the whole city, there was no water channel, there are no roads
Yes.
and everything. So it will all crumble all together. Even
Yeah.
if you succeed at the personal level to make your money from agriculture, but because there was no system on the ground, you're going to fail altogether. Now, if you must make proper investment, you must study the landscape, right?
Yeah.
But saying there's no investment, you must study the landscape to see into it. Okay, what will I do with my palm oil, for example? What will I do with my groundnut if I want to produce it? What will I do with this? Now, it's from that structure you will now better know how to channel your resources towards a particular investment. And what I'm trying to say is that a vision for the youths to get involved, a vision must be presented to them. This is what we're trying to do. And I understand that we are very smart people, we can make money. But I would love us to look at it at a more global. The people listening to us, what do we have to present to them to say, okay, this is where agriculture income is going to. Okay, you were talking about farm. You say, okay, we are now importing. So from there you can know that, okay, if I'm advising somebody to step into agriculture, I'll ask him to step into this sector because there's a sure market.
Yes.
Now, for example,
Exactly.
in 1975, Cameroon moved from being a next exporter to a next importer of common corn that we are producing here.
We produce corn everywhere. in Cameroon.
Yet,
Everywhere.
we produce corn everywhere. Yet, they are called, you go and see a farm with corn and it's abandoned there because the people don't know what to do with it. They don't know that there are areas where this corn is scarce. They don't know that there are areas where this corn is so very expensive. So they abandon the corn behind their houses, and the day they want to make crab, they go and take it. And
Yeah, they plant and they don't follow the right agricultural practices.
yeah,
to
it's because
plant,
there's no
when
approach.
to put fertilizers, when to do.
Not even just that. Some people achieve a good production.
Yeah,
right?
they are not aware of how to market.
Okay, how to market.
Exactly.
And
You know,
when-
our
when
problem
they-
in Africa is not production. There is high post-harvest loss. Now, these are issues we should have tackled if there was a vision to drive the agricultural system. We are producing, if we are producing so much, but it becomes so little because we don't know what to do with what we are producing. So, in as much as we can do a personal investment, everybody can, channel resources towards agriculture. I think if as youth we can come together and say, okay, let's propose this to the government. They are doing a lot, and we're not denying that they're doing a lot. Now, the people they are training so that they should go and work, produce the same they are producing, and if you keep doing like that, there is
It will be a constant circle of the same thing going
Yes,
here around
yes.
agriculture has
generation
been
on
practicing in
generation.
Cameroon for a long time, but what can you say have been the progress so far? That we've introduced new varieties.
We have regressed.
We have regressed for a long
Because
time.
immediately after independence,
Mhm.
Cameroon was food sufficient.
Yes.
Right now, we are importing almost everything.
It's because we fail to realize that the world around us is changing. The population is drastically increasing. Yes, and the demand from outside is very high.
It's very
So
high.
the little will come to and it was after that structural adjustment policy because that's where the problem began. That's why I wanted to go to it. That's where the problem began. Because from there they told us that okay, produce to export so that at least you can have more money and pay your debts. So the government began to be targeted towards cash crops, which was not another time like
Even
rubber.
government began, it is
Mm,
still existing now, my brother.
You see now,
You
started
know,
investing in
I
rubber.
learned from my internship company that the government is currently encouraging cocoa export than cocoa processing. For you to process cocoa in Cameroon, there are laws, and they say they give you even the limit.
There was one thing that now if we must succeed, we must be uncomfortable. But one thing I feel like the challenge is The government is comfortable with what they are having.
That's it, Joe.
Because if they
That's
give you,
it.
if in the morning
That's
your
it.
moms give you 2 pop-off and maybe a portion of beans,
Yeah.
you are very comfortable with that, but you don't know if you get up much more earlier and you prepare, you can eat 4
You understand?
and a better quantity
Yeah.
of beans. So the government is more comfortable with what
Collecting
what
tax.
foreigners are
That,
giving
that that's
them.
the point.
Rather
The
than-
whole point is that the government is encouraging export, like for example in the cocoa sector, to collect tax.
Tax.
That's income from tax.
So that they can pay debt.
So that they
that's-
can service debt, they can
and still run the
etc.
government and everything.
It's
Yes,
which
so-
for
So,
me,
so all those grants that we hear, they are giving 5 billion to improve the agricultural sector.
The
They are
problem is,
giving
where do we
this-
channel those 5 million?
Where there's the money ends up there and it does not reach down.
Even when it reaches down, right? I'm not saying that we are not producing. Oh, let me say something. Oh, by the way, all the food produced by agriculture, we are calling all this number 7, number D's, is produced by our local people. There's no
Yes.
There's no real industrialist or an agronomist that can say, okay, I produce this number of tons of this per year. You understand? So that significantly affects those figures. It is produced by our grandparents in the village. Now,
What
very
about the
soon-
educated estate?
what about that's
Very-
the-
those
very
guys,
few-
those
we
guys
just
are trying, but
Yes.
their contribution is very minute.
In fact, it's minute.
Local
Local
of the
farmers,
contribution
local
is from
farmers.
Local farmers,
Yes.
and those local farmers are smallholders. Now,
Yes.
the way agriculture is going, very soon these smallholders are going to go out of the business.
Of course.
They are going to go out of it because of foreign competition. That's for one. Imagine just about the rice production. That they are going to go out of business because of foreign competition. They are going to go out of business because of high prices of agricultural inputs. They are going to go out of business because of environmental challenges.
Volatility of prices of agricultural commodities.
So, they,
Yes.
so now,
Like for example, people are talking about the fact that the price of cocoa right now, 1 kilogram of cocoa now, cocoa farmers are celebrating that it's 2,500 francs averagely now. For me, that price is still not, is still too
It's
small,
still small.
because that 1 kilogram of cocoa. I was watching the president of Uganda, Museveni, if I'm not mistaken. He was talking about the prices of coffee. He said that, let me just use it in the context of cocoa. We are talking about 2,500 francs per kilogram of cocoa now in Cameroon. Farmers are celebrating. That 2,500 francs, do you know that 1 kilogram of cocoa in Germany is worth 100,000 francs?
you don't.
So the difference is 97,500 francs. Look at the gap.
Look at the gap, and then
It's too much.
Very soon the farmers will not be able to take it anymore.
You understand? That's why I was also telling the company where I was
But
interning.
you
I
know
was
they
telling them
cannot
that
say they cannot take it anymore.
no,
get
Dylan, the time will come when I will not take it anymore,
And
and I'll give you proof.
other businesses than
Exactly.
agriculture.
And I'm
Now-
going to give you proof.
No,
I'm going to give you proof because there's a project in Yaoundé that I happened to just come across it. Luckily, my relative was involved. That project, I'm not saying it's not like they are discouraging farmers from cocoa farming, but what they did was that they were a group of investors. They came before farmers. They calculated the cost of production for cocoa and the expected output. Then they calculated the cost of production for avocado, orange, mangoes,
For those
all
fruit
those things,
trees,
for
fruit
fruit
crops,
trees.
yes.
And then the way they profit, it showed that if farmers quit cocoa and just grow only oranges, avocado, plum, etc., a farmer will make times 50 of what he's making from cocoa. So and do you know what? Guess what? After several meetings, all of the farmers pledged that they are going to quit cocoa production and start looking towards that direction. Which is why I was telling this company I was interning that look, in the next 5 to 10 years, you guys will now have a job. Because why? So many people are dumping the cocoa market and they are looking at other ways. And he asked me that what is a way that the government can
if
do?
they
I said
dump
that
the
let the
cocoa
government
market,
let the government appreciate the prices.
If they dump the cocoa market, how will they produce chocolate and chocolate cocoa-based products?
Now the thing is that now, if scarcity is created, prices will appreciate.
Yes.
Then the few cocoa
Prices
farmers
will
that will
appreciate.
remain are going to.
That's
Now,
what
you
I'm
see-
saying.
You see that? You see,
Prices will appreciate.
You know, everybody is checking that like that. Everybody's staying there.
No,
Yeah,
no,
everybody's
look, let me tell you
No.
now, Dylan, don't be deceived. I'm telling you
Yeah.
that now, so many people
I-
are going out of. You think that this 2.5 like that here is by mistake? Do you know what's happened? First of all, there's so many competitors, so many people want to buy, and then what? The quantity produced has dropped a bit
Yes.
compared to last year. So there's already a kind of scarcity right now.
Yeah.
That's why the price has reached 2.5, and I'm predicting that if the government should do everything, that by 2027, let the price reach at least 5,000 to 7,000 francs.
Because you look
So
at
that a farmer knows that if he's investing in cocoa farming, he's going to make at least a significant earning that is going to take care of him and his family. Because first of all, I don't even know of any cocoa farmer that has a cocoa plantation in Cameroon that is rich. If you can show me one, point it out to me. There's nobody.
The only people
There's
who are
nobody.
rich in the cocoa value
Are
chain
people
are
that
the
are
buying.
brokers.
Yeah, the brokers.
Exactly.
Those
Now,
are the
what I
ones.
wanted-
There's no rich cocoa farmer in Cameroon that I know. There's no one.
Yeah, you
There's
see.
no one.
Now, if I had to round up with my point, I would have said that you see these old people who are doing agriculture today, who sell their small potatoes, who sell their small corn and everything, and can reach us here at still very expensive prices. Very soon they're going to get old, as even though they're going to get old and out of the business. Now, you and I, who are the youths, or also are even part of the youth, that small portion of Cameroonian youths who decided to look at agriculture.
Agriculture,
What about that big chunk that doesn't even care and don't even want to hear at all? Now,
The
if you
funny
want
thing
to,
is the sector employs 60% of the whole
now,
country.
hey, I saw a post yesterday, and this post said,
60%.
how can a continent with the highest number of people involved in agriculture be there in a kind of famine?
It's scandalous.
It's crazy.
It's scandalous.
How do you
I'm
understand
telling
that? A continent, I'm talking about Africa as a whole, with the highest number of people, about 80% involved in agriculture actively. How can I be kind of farming? It's because there's no structure on ground to determine the right growth process. Now, I want to also say that sustainability in agriculture is not just with respect to the environment.
Exactly.
Sustainability is also with respect to business.
Economic
And
economic
it's
and
not
we don't
itself.
talk about it.
Yeah.
We don't talk about
We don't
that.
even
That's
how to sell.
we
The
don't.
prices should be favorable for you
Yes.
to sustain the business.
We
over
don't talk
time.
about that.
But
You understand?
you know that if for the prices to be sustainable now, you have to allow the market to do market competition between.
Now that's
all
where we
the
fail.
sales.
Now
where
that's
we
where you
fail.
fail because the market competition is not just influenced by the internal dynamics. There are external dynamics.
The government.
And not just
Not
the
just the
government.
government.
But foreign
But
aid.
influence.
Ah, okay,
Yes.
yeah.
The external dynamics of it.
Like
makes it
now, like that,
critical.
I'm scandalized at the way the price of banana has just a few years ago. I was buying 5 banana for 100.
Now
Today, it's not even.
So
it's not-
because of the external
You see,
dynamics,
And
the
let me just share an experience. I harvested a bunch of banana. I sold that banana. I took it to the road there, to the roadside. I sold that banana 2.5. That man there that I sold it to him, he has kept the banana alive to get ripe. He's selling 4 for 150. 4 for 150. 4 for 200.
You see-
Sometimes even 4 for 250.
he will get dire money.
He would. That mean how many hands does that banana have? And he's selling 4. I look at it like that. I said, this is my other banana now. I also kept now and sell it to like that. Yes,
but
I
you
want
see,
to.
you cannot do that sustainably because of your time.
Yes,
Because
you also
you-
have other things you are doing.
You have other things you're doing, so
I want to just point out something before this podcast comes to an end, and I want to just talk about policy that Dinan mentioned earlier. Just like what Jude was saying, the government is trying, and I'm going to just create awareness about 2 policies I'm aware of. The very first one is that I learned from my lecturer recently that if you are importing machines that are geared towards agricultural transformation, that's food transformation,
Yeah.
you are not supposed to pay tax. That's the first policy that I heard that the government has been implementing. Now, you need to be aware of this. Otherwise you go to the custom and pay. But if you go there and you make them to understand that you are aware of this law, then you obviously clear your product free. Then the
Yeah.
second one is that for newly created SMEs, that's small and medium enterprises, you don't pay taxes. I think for the first 2 years. I think this kind of policies. I don't know who are those in charge of disseminating information in Cameroon.
I don't
These are the
understand.
things
They
that
don't tell us.
these are the
Yes,
things that you are
it's-
supposed
you never
to
know.
educate people.
Until a
You are
problem
supposed to
arises,
educate
then now they'll tell you that they'll go and dig one paper from somewhere and say this is how it was.
Cameroonian
This is
youth,
how it's supposed to
open
be.
your ears and hear this,
No,
and use it to your advantage.
Now,
right?
let me if I could say something before we round up, because we're about to round up. I would say that in extension, right, in agriculture extension, we have a vision, and that's from where I'm coming all these things. There is a reason for extension in Cameroon and in the world, right? And our vision is threefold. Just the main mission is first to increase agricultural productivity in
Yes.
Cameroon. The second is to increase agricultural profitability. Because without profitability, the productivity will almost surely shut down. And the third is to promote agricultural sustainability. Now, why? I think if we are to solve the problem at the national level, we should first look for those practices which are unsustainable, because the environmental degradation is becoming so high and our farmers can't take it anymore. I'm not even sure we know when the race are going to start this year. because of the way they delayed to stop
To
last year.
stop this last season.
Yes, so
Inconsistent.
we should watch on that aspect of unsustainable practices. Now, when we can develop sustainable practices, we should look for how to make those sustainable practices profitable.
Profitable.
Now, when we can make them profitable, then we can now see in what measure we can scale them to see how to achieve mass production. When we go to that, when we go this way, sector per sector within the agriculture industry, we'll now see how we can plan for the future. Because until these basic foundational stuffs are done, we cannot sit down and talk about orientation to agriculture.
now
in
we-
Cameroon.
With what I said earlier, there are also some problems that are jotted down. We know we have this Anglophone crisis,
Yeah,
and it has greatly affected the agricultural sector.
yeah.
I can remember where I was at Monebade. I and my dad opened a 10-hectare palm plantation. After our first harvest, the strike started. We could not harvest again. Look at all that money. You can imagine the amount of money.
Let me address that
Then
point.
imagine the number of people who were like you.
who are
that
like
have
you,
listed
you
to that
understand?
same frenzy and
Let me
stuff.
quickly address
So
that point.
you understand?
Look at
Let me
the- look at
quickly
the
address that
voluminous
point.
numbers.
Yes.
I think I posed a question in class recently to my lecturer about this. We talk about risk management. I think you see, if farmers were
Insure
looking
their
agri, before you even talk about insurance,
Okay.
if farmers actually looked at agriculture like a business, then they were supposed to take note of risk analysis. Myself, I fall guilty. You understand? Because me too, my dad's farm, I recall that we worked there. It was more than 100
Valuable.
hectares. And the strike started even one bunch of plantain.
You
After
not
I
see-
planted, after personally I planted thousands of plantains. I couldn't even harvest even one. But back to this. If farmers started looking at agriculture like a formal business, taking into
their
account the risks, like how somebody that is doing export, somebody that is doing import, they calculate their risk. You understand? They know. They try to do what we call risk management. You understand? And then they try to measure their risk, etc. Farmers should start looking at that direction so that you should not be seeing things like insecurity, things like storms, things like inconsistent rain, like abrupt problems. You
Yes.
understand?
No, I understand you.
Risks should be
But you look at
properly measured.
the crisis now. The crisis was not ringing a bell before it
Yes,
started.
it was
It
like
just started.
an uncertainty.
Yeah, very sudden. So those are the type of risks that we will call them unforeseen.
Unforeseen.
Yeah,
Insurable risk.
Yeah, because you
But
can.
in any case, now that we are aware of it, you understand? In fact, there is no investor that I've met, in all the investors that I've been meeting so far,
Yeah.
no foreign investor, let me be specific, that I've met now, will not point out the fact that insecurity is a potential risk in Africa. Like I was
Yes.
talking to somebody, we were talking about business in Douala, but the guy was asking, he was saying that if you look on the east of Douala, towards the east region, there's a crisis. In the Anglophone side, there's a crisis. Up north, there's a
There's a
crisis. It means
crisis.
that Cameroon is surrounded by crisis.
crisis.
So he asked me that how, if he's going to invest his money in my business,
Yeah.
is this a potential risk? I had to take time and explain to. I had to give justification and all those things because he said there's nothing like when he gives his money, he's not telling that no Anglophone crisis has extended to Douala. No.
You
Which
have
meant
to
that
deliver.
what he was just trying to pass across a message to me that if you are talking about agriculture, you have to take into account all possible
Yeah,
risks.
all possible risks.
You understand? Even if you are not in a war zone or wherever, you understand? Just know that as far as you're in Africa, there's a possibility that a strike can start now in
following-
any place. So you
following up-
need to make sure that you measure that risk and you find mitigation strategies.
But I wanted to ask a question a little bit,
Yeah.
and just popped in my mind. Is it possible that as there are some graduates from the Faculty of Agriculture,
Yeah.
we can go towards all these agricultural institutions around the country, primarily the schools where agriculturists are trained, and create an association of young Cameroonian farmers, or and entrepreneurs, right? Then register that association formally and try to get into contact with the government and propose to them what we deem could be the best way to solve the challenges that face Cameroonian agriculture as a whole,
Not
the
to,
national
not to cut you short, Joshua.
Yes.
I just want to point out something. Whilst that idea is a very excellent idea,
But
but you understand with me that between 2018 and now, there is an exponential increase in the number of new businesses that have been created, the number of big new NGOs that have been created. In fact, generally, an exponential increase in the number of associations, which made me to draw a conclusion at the end of 2023. I drew a conclusion that creating new establishments is a solution, could be a solution. But we should not always look towards that direction.
No, I'm not trying to.
You understand?
No.
Let me say something concerning what he's trying. He's trying to say that we come up with an association of United Agricultural Practitioners. But what I want to say is that now it's not a bad idea. But when you meet people of value, they will not accept. Trust me. If you meet the young entrepreneurs of value, they will feel like my idea wants to mix with your idea. Maybe we're working on the same idea
something.
and we can bring some misunderstanding. I will say clear example because while growing up as an agricultural entrepreneur, I started a clear journey in 2023, early 2023. Before then, I was already communicating with some amazing agricultural personnel in Cameroon, young people. They were so interested in chatting with me, receiving my calls, talking to me. But when I began the journey and taking the online space to be my platform, a lot of them stopped.
Jude, that's a very important point that Jude has brought
It's
up.
very difficult to say that. See,
Why
these
did they
people-
stop?
Because
Do you know-
I am
I
close
will
to their
just-
value.
You know,
Ah, okay.
that is not
Value
Jude. It's
Okay,
nailed.
they-
It's
they
nailed.
don't-
Look now, you have nailed. You have just nailed.
Is it that they are
the point
selfish
now.
and they don't want you to come and
Bro, see,
overtake
see,
them?
let me
or-
tell you
in
something.
Cameroon.
That is not. It's not Cameroon.
In
Africa.
Africa.
You understand?
Individualistic
And recently now,
mindset.
see, I swear, let me not lie. Most of the projects that I've been able to do, it's not like I'm bragging, but I've realized that actually now nobody has ever helped me. That's what I've realized. Because even like now, recently I was needing somebody's help, right? A guy who has established a very nice agricultural enterprise. I was trying to contact him. Since the day that I met that guy, he invited me to Limbe. As I met him at Down Beach, he bought me fish to eat. As I explained to him my ambition, since that day he stopped taking my calls.
Exactly,
You
because you're
understand?
close to
He
his
stopped
vision.
taking
Yeah,
my
because
calls.
he has seen his equal.
He stopped taking my
But
calls.
why
And-
is it like that?
you know, and
It's
let me tell you,
security.
not even that, let me tell you, Robert Kiyosaki traced all these things. He said that the problem started from school. But when you're in school, from nursery school, they say
It's
cover your
already
work.
Yeah,
happened.
wow.
Already
You
happened.
understand?
Yes.
People instead
Cover
in
your
the Western world, let me tell you, in Europe, in America, instead they believe in cooperation, collaboration for mutual benefit.
Yes.
And I'll even give you an example. In Cameroon, I learned last year that there's an association of European companies in Cameroon. Do you know what they do? They go to every day. They are at the door of the Minister of Trade. They are lobbying. Like recently, they lobbied that the government should, because the government imposed a tax this 2023 on them. I think it was a tax on employment. That I think it was towards foreigners working in Cameroon. They were supposed to pay an extra tax. These guys mobilized themselves. Just this January, they wrote a strong letter to the Minister of Trade. And the Minister of Trade in a press conference just a few days ago said that tax has been suspended. You understand? Now, and I was asking myself then, why is it that Cameroonians cannot do this thing?
Okay. In as much as yes,
Why can Cameroonians not do this?
There is a challenge. There's a challenge to coming together, right? From that national school.
Yes.
But at least from our own institution here in Boya, we are in Favim, right? Let's at least have a number of people that let's say we'll start from here. We can get in contact with the university in Gandhi, get their own agricultural institution and start from there. You know, at least not
What me and Jude are saying, Zana, we're not cancelling the idea.
Yes.
We'll do it though.
We'll
But
do
I'm
it.
just trying to make you to understand, Anna.
Yes.
Just know that this could be potential loopholes or like problems that were
Yeah,
that we're
that
going
was-
to
that-
and
yeah.
this
Like people who are still students without they have not established anything yet.
Yeah.
Who buy
They'll be
the
very
idea.
excited.
Why they'll
They'll
take
be
it?
excited.
They'll run until like
What?
1, 2
take
years.
this
Leadership,
idea now.
what?
Take this
When
idea
people
now.
now start growing,
See, take this
everyone starts
idea now.
disappear.
Take some of these ideas now to CDC. They won't even look at you. I'm sorry to call their name or any other company. Most likely they will not look at your direction. For some
understand.
reason, I don't know why.
Yeah, we
I don't know why
understand
we
that-
find it difficult to
I
cooperate.
understand that we have this challenge, and I'm one of the people who have actually shouted it loud that Cameroonians, even Africans, don't want to come together to think.
Don't want
But in
to.
as much as it's a challenge, there is a solution. There is always a solution
Look,
to it.
that's why I say we'll try it, right?
Yes.
We'll give it a shot.
Now,
But
if you want to open a
it's not a
business,
full
right?
bed.
We are together here. All of us have interests. We want to open a business, want to open a business. We are not coming to fight against each other. As a matter of fact, there's no competition for agriculture in Africa. Yes. So what if you say, let's come together to solve a common problem, so that you do your business better, I will do my business better, so that you have lesser challenge in doing your.
that is their intention now.
so you're saying
That's
it's like division of
that's,
network
that's
type
their
of
that's
No,
their
I'm trying to say,
intention.
okay, there's a problem of
Something like that,
infrastructural
but with one
development.
voice.
Okay,
One
yes,
voice.
we're making this one voice. That's the aim.
That's what I say.
There's-
That is the intention of our association.
Yes.
The problem with Cameroonians is not the intention. The problem is the interpretation. Cameroonians, I don't know.
But-
The way, from my experience now,
Yes.
whenever you show a Cameroonian this door, the Cameroonian, when you show him the door, he will stand at the door. He will not enter. He will
check
start
first.
looking for another door,
Yes.
another back door to
Now,
enter
do you also
that
know
same
do you
place.
know another problem with
That's the
Cameroonians
problem.
is that when you tell him something, the first thing he sees is the problem. You want to bring him a vision. The first thing he sees is the mountain that will stop him from attaining that vision.
That's why he
Yes,
was talking
that's-
about risk assessment.
Yeah, yes, it's a risk. It's a risk. But
Yes.
before looking at the mountain, first look at the destination. Look at how it will look like if you achieve that thing. Then come and face the mountain.
yeah.
If you have the vision, you can take some few months and now start putting down some names you can personally invite over to talk this.
Yes.
It's a good idea. Now, last month I won an award, best community engagement, whatsoever. Now, this guy created a council for local organizations. That's his vision. His vision is to bring any kind of organization together in a platform where they can meet the government,
Something like an
they can
app.
meet ministers. No, it's something like a platform.
Okay,
Not
okay.
really online though, but a physical something people come together. So the reason is that they can meet the government, they can meet senators, they can meet international sponsors, and it was a good vision. And I discovered that nobody clashed. Though there were CEOs coming together, but nobody clashed, meaning that it can still work. But now what you have to do is
They should have a
sit
common
down,
goal.
yes, sit down, bring
You have
out
to
the
really
people you
clearly
can
define,
invite.
yes.
Yes,
You have to
before
clearly define
publishing
the
it in
scope
public.
and then
We must not. This organization doesn't even have to go public. I don't think it has. If we
Refine-
can gather
refine
people
it.
at the national level, someone who the government can say, okay, we are coming from a government institution. The government trained us. Okay, the government have trained us, but we realize that with the training they have given us back there, we will not be able to cope out there. So we have come together and said, Mr. Government, add this to your curriculum so that as the people who are coming after us will be able to cope with the realities we have met on the field. So that is just a common voice we're trying to achieve. It's not. We don't want. We don't
Let's
want.
let's try to wrap it up. Give our final
yeah.
point so that.
But yeah, as you say, we can. What's that book? Okay.
Well, there's this attitude of Africans looking for money out of Africa, right? I think Tolu Elumelu has been talking about Afri-capitalism. That's, we have the power to generate our capital to solve our
There's still room
problems.
to grow.
Yes, we don't really need external
There's
capital.
still-
And then during the African
His
CEO
Excellency.
forum in 2022, the managing director of EcoBank Cote d'Ivoire, His Excellency Paul Harry Aidnad, he said something intriguing. He said that one of the ways that we can solve investment problems, because I can categorically tell you that the biggest problem that we have in Africa, with respect to agriculture, is
You don't
investment.
invest,
You understand now? Investment is not only money. Talk about human investment. That's people
Giving
studying
time.
agriculture
Yeah.
to become professionals. Who are acquiring knowledge in mechanization, the capital itself, arable land, etc. Right? He was talking about creating local equity pools. Right? We have to create means by which you can generate capital internally. I think whoever is watching this, if you are a government official, etc., try to look into this. Let's start looking at capital from within, and then within the framework of African continental free trade area, which I think the ambassador of Equatorial Guinea to Cameroon, he said something on CRTV last year. He said that one problem that Africans have is that we are always looking for trade partners from the West.
From the West.
We should start looking at intra-African trading, right?
That's what.
Not
Exactly.
only in agriculture, in other fields. Like Cameroon can sell petrol to maybe Gabon or wherever.
Well,
It must not be in
Gabon
USA.
sells
You understand?
Yeah.
So that's just what I have to say in conclusion.
Like how I'm always saying it, and if you check the past podcast, I've always been saying it. When you enter the university and you're studying agriculture, the first thing you have to do is, where am I going to go after this? What am I going to do? When you look at that, then you have a clear vision of where you're going to, and you start working for it. When you start working for it and the vision is clear, then you can be able to succeed. If you don't start early, you think will catch you for 29 years, so you never make even 100,000 on your own. So it's something we need to look at it very critically. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Please leave likes, subscribe, and also, we know we have not really touched everything on the future of agriculture in Cameroon. Give us your comments. Tell us what are the sectors you want us to touch, you want us to discuss about. We'll also bring them to a podcast here, and we'll scrutinize them and make them go smoothly. So thank you again.